to episode 4 of Proclamation Nation. Today we are going to do something special. I happen to be down here on vacation in the Boston area, and the young man that won the contest that guessed which president it was that had waged war against, the first president that had waged war against Muslim nations is down here in the Boston area. His parents expressed concern about seeing him live on video, so he's right here. This is his arm and shoulder. We just can't show his face. And we're going to call him Stephen just for namesake, even though that's not his real name. Stephen goes to a private school here in the Boston area, 3.6 out of 4 GPA, takes 4 AP courses. It's in the National Honor Society and is a member of the Model United Nations, which I understand is a high school United Nations. And you went to the Chicago National Convention and the Washington, D.C.?
No, Chicago and University of Chicago and Brown simulation in Providence.
Oh, in Providence, Rhode Island. Okay, I thought it was in Washington, D.C. My apologies. Those were 2 national conventions for it.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So we're going to ask you, Steve, I wanted to see what the next generation's viewpoint was on not only our government, where it is today, but where it's heading in the future, and then what you'd like to see change in our government. So where do you think we are today, Stephen?
I don't think our country's in great shape right now. We're getting taxed, but the funds that these taxes are going to aren't even going to be around within the next 20 years. Such as Social Security, stats show it's going to be completely gone by 2036, and we have people paying for it now, so the next generation isn't really even going to experience it yet. Some of the people that pay taxes on it right now aren't going to be able to experience it, so
right.
Their money's going to nothing.
And that's probably an overestimate on the 2036. We hear
by 2036.
Yeah.
So it could be before.
Oh yeah, we hear it anything from like 2015 to 2025, 2030, 2050, depending who you talk to. But it's definitely on its way out. And do you know the reason for that?
No, why?
Well, Social Security right now is being floated because we have more people paying in than we do taking out. When the baby boomers start collecting their Social Security, we're going to have more people taking out than we're paying in.
Yep.
And we can get a whole topic of discussion, whole 2 weeks on exactly why that is, but we're not. So we won't even go there. So go ahead, and I'm sorry for interrupting you. But
that's okay. So that was just my thing on Social Security. Eventually more is going to be put out than they're taking in taxes. So the people who are going to be paying for it won't even be able to experience it at some point. Or if they experience it at all, they're going to get very little.
Right.
So I feel like that should be sort of straightened out. Whether it be giving less or taxing more, it's not my decision on that, but something's going to be fixed with that. Otherwise, it's just taking money from people basically taking money from people that are never going to get any benefit from.
Absolutely.
From what their money's going to.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Which, doesn't make any sense. And then there's the healthcare bill that Obama put into place, because he did put it into place, didn't even pass it through Congress, right?
They did pass it through Congress.
They passed it through Congress, but
barely leaked it through, and not everybody was able to see the bill before it was passed, the whole bill.
God forbid the people get to see it before.
Right. Well,
or have any say in it.
The 5 days supposedly that every person will get to see a bill that passes just before signing it. Yeah, we went through that in last week's episode, and we didn't get to see it.
Oh yeah.
So what about the healthcare bill?
Well, the points that I was going to make was that those who currently pay taxes for Medicare generally can't receive it, and the people that really pay taxes on it, that pay elevated taxes rather, are people that make over $200,000 a year.
Right.
Now, people that a lot of the times I was reading up on this, and the small number of people are eligible, and a lot of the people that are eligible are over the age of 65. It says that right on the site.
Right.
And it says that it taxes people over 200K right on the Medicare.gov site. So the problem with this is those who pay taxes for it, the people that are under 65 making over 200K a year, can't even receive any benefit from it, or receive very little benefit from it. So I have a quote from Karl Marx from in 1875, Critique of the Gotha Program. He says, "From each according to his ability, to each according to his need."
Right.
And as we know, Karl Marx was like the founder of communism.
Right.
And it's taking Medicare right now. The tax is taking from people that have the ability to pay it, those with over 200K salary, and giving to those
that are in need.
Yeah, exactly. They can't afford it.
Well, that's been Obama's whole stance, anyways, was to take from the rich and give to the poor, and redistribution of wealth was his big thing in his campaign.
Which, as we know, is communist idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that needs some huge revamping if they're going to keep it at all.
Well, what about the when they swore up and down in the healthcare bill that there would be no death panels, and they actually got off on a technicality. They didn't call them death panels, but it's called aged provisioning, which means when you hit a certain age and your healthcare start costing the government more than what you're paying in, some bureaucrat in Washington is going to decide you're not worth keeping alive, and they're going to cut it off, and it's right in the healthcare bill.
Mm-hmm.
Those are what typically are called death panels, but now they're calling it age provisioning so that they can say that there's no death panels in the plan.
Right. So it sounds a little more
politically correct.
Yeah, exactly. Not as scheming or
right.
unbelievable.
So what else do you have for government today?
The energy issue, the whole issue of foreign oil and nuclear energy with the whole Japan.
Which recently happened in Japan.
Yeah,
we saw what happened when a disaster happened, and it's going to affect that region and other regions for ages. When Chernobyl got knocked out, the people in the Scandinavian countries, it affected them for years. Whole herds of reindeer disappeared
Europe,
from
that entire area. For hundreds of miles.
Yeah, and for years and years and years and years and years.
And the dome that they placed over it's starting to crack too, so it's gonna, or like they have the concrete that they placed over it. No, in Chernobyl.
Yeah.
The concrete they placed over it's starting to crack, but that's a different story.
Okay. Well. You gotta keep up on that stuff.
But yeah. So right now we're sitting on more oil. We are sitting in the United States on more oil than there is in Saudi Arabia.
In all of the Middle Eastern countries.
All the Middle Eastern countries. Saudi Arabia is the big one, so that's what I put in there. But we're sitting on more oil than the Middle Eastern countries.
And why can't we touch it?
Because Obama won't let us. He's
it goes deeper than that.
Yes, it does.
The liberals.
Yes. Because a lot of people are saying no, it's going to harm the environment, or like that whole environmentalist group, or
saying
that it's going to harm the environment.
Save the owls.
Exactly. Save the trees.
Where animals, and this is another thing that I always say, we live in the biggest one of the most hypocritical countries in the entire world, where plants and animals have more rights than our children and now our elderly, thanks to the healthcare plan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, babies don't have rights in this country now legally until their head comes out of the birth canal, and the elderly, thanks to Obama's health care plan, don't have any more rights after a certain age either.
Mm-hmm.
So, but plants and animals do, and you can go to jail for harming either one of those.
Yep. There you go.
So, go
What
on.
was I was saying that
oil.
Plus Obama even stated that he'd let gas rise to above $10 per gallon.
He said he would let it rise.
He said he would let it rise to above $10 a gallon. There was earlier when he was campaigning or whatever.
Right. So what we're doing is we're allowing this country to be held up by other countries for whatever price they want to charge us, when we are sitting on the largest oil reserves in the world. And one of the articles I read wrote that we have enough at its current current rate of increase of use per year. We have enough to last us for the next 300 years, which is more than enough time to find alternative fuel sources.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But instead we're going to pay hijack rates for gasoline because of the oil prices that we're paying from these other countries.
Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. See,
and he gave Bush the same grief for that, because Bush is supposed to be steeped in oil, for allowing the gas prices to raise, and they're right where they were up when Bush was president. They never got higher than this.
Yeah. Here it was over 4 for a little bit, and then it dropped down a little bit once Obama actually allowed offshore digging for oil. A little bit. So it's like 380-ish right now.
Yeah, it was 390 something at one of the gas stations.
Yeah,
I noticed around the corner. And in other parts of the country, it's over $4. California.
I'm not surprised if it's going to hit $5 this summer.
Absolutely.
Especially in places like D.C. and where their gas prices are so much higher in the cities. And that price issue could be solved if we dug. It would lower it a bit. Plus, we'd have a supply for hundreds of years.
I don't blame North Dakota, Wyoming, Texas, and Alaska for wanting to succeed from the Union, and I hope they do. I certainly hope they do. I don't think the United States will allow them to I think there'll be a big fight like we saw when the countries decided to secede from the USSR, when the communism broke up over there. They tried to pull the nations back in. I think that's what you'll see over here is another revolutionary war, or not revolutionary, but civil war. But it's coming to the point where people just aren't taking it anymore. They realize that this government is corrupt, and I've said it before. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, and we've got a corrupt government.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yep. And like if they do, you're saying if they were talking about succeeding from the union or whatever, if they end up like actually making that public or whatever, that they have that possibility, hopefully people will open their eyes and say, we have to maybe rethink what we're doing right now. Hopefully.
Before it gets too
bad, and before they actually pull the trigger on that.
Wow. That's a big hopefully, Nick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. My next sort of point was about the whole informed elections thing, because as you mentioned the last episode, people were which company was it? One of the news broadcasting companies were going down and asking people about what
that was the radio stations.
Yeah, the radio stations.
It was one of the ones local station in New York.
Yeah, we're asking people what they thought of Obama, and like they were saying,
Sarah Palin was his
Sarah Palin was his vice president, and that he was it anti-abortion, pro-life?
He was pro-life.
That he was pro-life, and they were like, and they thought that was actually his platform, so they had no clue what was going on. No, I hope in the future that people will start to sort of research who they're voting for, so to know
Become
at least
more
basically.
Informed.
Yeah.
And how would you go about doing that in the United States? What would you implement in the United States? Like, let's say, would you say that politicians are only allowed to spend so many dollars per year? Would you say they're only allowed so much time on the air? How would you do that so that one politician couldn't lie, for better lack of a word?
Yeah, I mean, like cover it up.
Right,
cover up
as much as possible, more than another one. I mean, because right now it's whoever's got the most money.
Right. Maybe funds should be sort of limited to. I think people need to monitor where these funds are actually going, because like you said, one hand, watch my hand's doing over here while my other hand's way down here.
Absolutely.
People need to watch where this money's actually going, like covering up their real name, their birth certificate, forging a birth certificate, covering up where they're from.
Absolutely.
If they're actually a citizen, for goodness sake.
Right.
People need to sort of pay attention to that and not be fooled by any trickery. Well, there's always going to be trickery. There's always going to be propaganda. That's just part of.
Unfortunately,
politics.
that is part of politics in the United States.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Well, it's part of politics around the world too. I mean, it's been going on for ages.
Yeah.
But I think people just need to sort of do a little more research, be a little bit more knowledgeable about their prospective candidate before actually going to the voting booths, because I think that would sort of help a little bit in choosing the right person to be president.
Absolutely, couldn't agree with you more, Stephen.